you get paid well.
Yeah, but they only pay you in basketball bucks, and then you already owe so much to the company store.
Basket bucks. You have to sleep at the gym.
Folks, welcome to Werewolf Radar, the world's premier paranormal preparedness podcast. My name's Jordan Dahl.
I am Nate Balding.
I am Roger Norquist.
Happy New Year's, you freaks.
Oh, it's the new year. It is.
True.
Oh, my
That's
goodness.
True. Today's episode of Werewolf Radar is brought to you by Monstroco Groan Cream. Do you suffer from nocturnal groaning? Did someone kick you in the groan? Did you pull a groan muscle? Are you always like,
I am. Yeah.
Try Monstroco Groan Cream for that groan. Monstroco, what the fuck?
That's me. You literally described my life as a turning 40-year-old man.
You
Tons
probably
of groans in here,
pulled a groan muscle.
and this cream will help.
Have you been playing European women's basketball?
Yes, but only because I thought I could beat them, but they're all 8.5 feet tall.
Nobody can beat them. They've all eaten the green jelly. They're all growing an inch and a half a night. Their ocular cavities are getting longer, long enough to stack 3 eyes in each eye. It's upsetting.
Yeah, the awful image.
Especially when they don't put the extra eyes in.
Oh yeah, it's just open. You just see
big
eye
hanging, that's horrifying.
It's really bad.
And
then when they look
blinking,
up, takes forever. When they look up, the eyes go to the top of the eye holes, and when they look down, the eyes go to the bottom of the eye holes. But I'll tell you what, those ladies use so much groan cream, not a groan amongst them.
They're the most silent people you've ever heard play basketball.
Silent as the grave. It's terrifying.
I mean, you would need the groan cream if you were doing an inch and a half of growth every night.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You would die.
I'm sure it's fairly painful.
Yeah. And also, it should be mentioned that if you're not groaning, don't use the groan cream. It will make you groan.
Oh, yeah.
Everything you do, it just groans from your body. It's not a vocal groan either. It's like groans from under the skin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sometimes you want that too.
Yeah, I guess sometimes, for certain Halloween costumes.
That's fair. Like a good mummy costume would be great on it.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, can I go first?
I wish that you would go first and make my New Year's dream come true.
Sure. Well,
take the groaning skull.
I'm going to take the groaning skull, but I'm going to keep on my clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hanging out on X.
Sure. Yes.
And I stumbled upon quite the Twitter thread that then informed me this was a cryptozoological mega thread from one Darren Neisch.
Oh.
At Tetzoo, Tetzoo. And he enlightened me to the U-boat U-28 sea monster.
Oh, yeah. I think I've heard about this. It
was a crazy tale, and I'm going to go into it. I have a couple sources. I have one, Darren Neisch, that set this up into it. And like I say, go to his X account and put a like there. Say Werewolf Radar sent you.
And tell Elon Musk to go fuck himself.
Tell him Werewolf Radar sent you.
That should be the main use of X.
Tell him he's an unfunny nerd.
Yeah.
And Darren Neisch is a zoologist. He's an author. He studies and writes about dinosaur animal evolution.
Oh, interesting.
And he has a couple books, Dinosaurs HTLE, All Yesterdays, Dinopedia, Prehistoric Planet, lead consultant on Apple TV.
Wow, incredible. Dinosaurs Ate My Neighbors.
The whole series. Except for the third one. He had nothing to do with the third one. Those dinosaurs and those masks was not his plan.
They never should have kept going once he left the show.
So on the 30th of July, or somewhere around there, in the year 1915, the height of U-boat excitement, the U-boat 28 succeeded in torpedoing a British steamer called the Iberian, which sank, of course. You can't fuck with a U-boat at this time. It got destroyed completely.
This is the primary boat that people were using.
Now, when you say steamer, this is a passenger.
Yeah, this
vessel?
isn't fecal matter on the chest.
All right.
Well, then I have no interest. Punching out.
So this U-boat sinks the British liner, and the U-boat, according to the words of its chief, let me see where that is on the other article. The words of, there we go, von Forstner, who was, I think, the captain or one of the lead officers of the U-29, describes this moment. The wreckage
captured the civilian vessel.
I mean,
and we decided to sink it. It had no defenses. It was a war crime.
The steamer, this is a war crime overall, but we're not looking at war crimes right now. If you want to look at war crimes, look at the two wars happening right now.
What isn't a war crime, right? War crimes.
Or just look at what America does in any country, okay? There's war crimes around you. Pay attention to that, not this one. The steamer...
Pay attention to the war crime behind that curtain.
And this is the captain of the submarine, Commander Freiherr George Gunther von Forstner. And he says the steamer sank so swiftly that its bow stuck up almost vertically in the air, and moments later the hull of the Iberian disappeared. The wreckage remained beneath the water for approximately 25 seconds at a depth that was clearly impossible to assess, when suddenly there was a violent explosion which shot pieces of debris, among them a gigantic aquatic animal, out of the water at a height of approximately 80 feet.
Holy schnaggies.
Crazy.
Right? That when I read the tale of the exploded animal or sea monster that flew out of the water with gusto, I was like, I need to share this with the boys.
What if they're...
It's like a cat meeting a cucumber.
Yeah, truly.
What if there were sea monsters, but we blew it up?
We did with this one for sure. Von Forstner continues, at that moment I had with me in the conning tower 6 of my officers of the watch, including the chief engineer, the navigator, and the helmsman. Simultaneously, we all drew one another's attention to this wonder of the seas, which was writhing and struggling among the debris. We were unable to identify this creature, but all of us agreed that it resembled an aquatic crocodile, which was about 60 feet long.
Where did this take place?
This was the sinking of the Iberian. Let me go look that up real quick. Sinking of the Iberian. U-28. That's how I search. I say it every time like that.
Sure. That's how you get the best results.
Those are great results.
That's Star Trek rules. Computer, sinking of the Iberian.
There we go. The Iberian torpedoed. I see the fate. I see everything but where it was sank. Where it was traveling from Manchester, United States, to... She was spotted in Ireland and around Irish waters. It looks like that the Iberian was hit. So it looks like in the English Irish waters.
So it's not like it was in like South Africa or Egypt.
We're not. Yes, we're not in tropic
somewhere
waters
where crocodiles live.
Should be, yes.
Australia or something. Because if it was in Australia or something like that, you'd be like, okay, we're talking maybe a saltwater crocodile, some kind of big bastard got blasted. But no.
No, not at all. Indeed, this seems to be British Irish waters, which are insanely cold for such a reptilian, at least. But there's other options that it could be. This
is like 9 miles off of Fastnet Rock in Ireland.
Thank you.
There you go.
So yeah, they're cold waters. These quotes also come from the 1939 book, The Case for the Sea Serpent, in which von Forstner gives these descriptions. And also in the book, or in his own accounts that he gave in 1933, if you would like to read these, which are published in both German and English.
Good.
At the moment, we had a bunch of officers drinking the celebration, and we were like, you saw that too, right? They were unable to identify the creature. It was, in their guesstimation, 60 feet long with 4 limbs resembling large webbed feet, a long pointed tail, and a head which also tapered to a point. Unfortunately, we were not able to take a photograph, for the animal sank out of sight after 10 or 15 seconds.
I mean, that does sound crocodile or gatory.
It does. And
it does. There's also a number of other creatures. It's very, what I might be pronouncing this wrong, plesiosaurian.
Yeah, it does sound.
Yeah.
I mean,
like
it
a
does
plesiosaur or
oddly saurian, and you know, like I don't know. The ocean is a strange place, I guess, is what I'm getting at. There were definitely dinosaurs that kind of look like this. There's, you know, that one that looks like it's got that crocodile head with all those teeth, and then it has flippers. That thing's fucking terrifying. A mosasaur, I think.
Yep.
I'm sure there were smaller versions of that. And who's to say that some of them did not survive some global catastrophe and were fucking chilling in the icy waters surrounding England until one of them, okay, here we go. We've got a mosasaur. We've got a plesiosaur.
Oh, from that Darren Nice gentleman.
Child, Thalattosuchian. Yeah.
These are all things that it could have hit.
Yeah. Could have been.
Yeah. Like it was like the war was going on, war crimes were committed, and this mosasaur, we'll say for right now, just like was all like, what was all this noise that woke me up? I'm here at the bottom of the sea here eating fishies, and you're all like making noise, man. And then it gets blown up.
And yeah, if there's one place that something might have been able to survive, you know, a catastrophic meteor impact or whatever, it would be at the bottom of the ocean.
Crocodiles survived it. Turtles survived it. What else survived the death of the dinosaurs? We did, mammalian reptile.
Small animals.
What about that one fish guy that they talk about?
Oh, the sturgeon.
No, the
carp.
His name is
Old Greg.
Coelacanth is what you're thinking of. I was having fun.
Thank you. We have fun here.
We have fun here on the show. But that's overall the long and short of that. I don't have anything other evidence other than the words that we read from the captain that he gave in his report. If you want to read the report once again, it is this book right here, the Journal of Submarine Commander von Forstner, translated by Mrs. Russell Codman.
Pretty cool.
With an introduction from John Hayes Hammond.
Junior.
Yes, thank you. Sorry. Senior's my father. Call me Junior.
Yes.
And nothing has been seen truly in this area in modern times to like do or what am I trying to say? Like fill the void of this creature being seen and apparently destroyed. You know, there hasn't been more sightings like a Loch Ness monster or other U-boat attacks coming across this creature.
Yes.
And
this seems to be quite an unusual occurrence.
Yes. And there's some hyperbole in his testimony. Darren Naish points out in one of his tweets that the height this creature supposedly reached was absurd. Like it just could not be. He says, excuse me, if I'm slightly suspicious of the idea of a gigantic long-bodied animal could perform such a feat. For comparison, a killer whale at almost 10 meters long can leap maybe 5 meters above the surface. Image for evidence.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, not to disparage the good doctor, but how high can a killer whale get if you blast it with a sea mine?
And for those wondering, the explosion that this, I guess the secondary and thirdary explosion once the boat was sinking was probably the ship's engine broilers or something blowing up from pressure. Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, and also if it's that long, they might not have meant that it was that far out of the water. That might have just been like where the tip of its, you know, nostrils were or whatever.
There are some
tip of its dick.
There are some different arts drawn. This is a more contemporary drawing of the explosion. Where the whole body's out.
Wow. Bummer.
And then
do look weirdly like flippers.
Yeah.
And then there are some that I think is more on the Nate side of it, which I probably believe as well, where we have this situation to where it's just a long fucking creature. And
it's a long doggy.
You know, like it's up there, but it's not its whole body.
Interesting.
This is an actual crocodile that they exploded for it to prove his point.
For our podcast, we asked them to do it.
This is an episode you want to watch on the YouTube.
Yeah. Well, yeah, boy, Mythbusters really helping out.
Blown up crocodiles. Seeing if cryptids from the 1915s can be real or not. But that is the tale and sighting and destruction of the U-28 sea monster.
Pretty marvelous stuff.
Yes. A bulk of the crew, Von Forstner was the only one to really survive the war. I believe a bulk of his crew was destroyed on U-28 when they lost a battle. Taking the story to Davy Jones's, I don't know, coffee table or something, wherever you tell stories.
That's the locker.
That's okay.
Okay. Well,
doesn't
the stories
sound
get told,
right,
but they stay down there.
Doesn't sound right. It seems like stories go elsewhere. But I passed the skull of groaning now to one of you two.
I shall take the skull. May I have the skull, Nate?
Take the skull.
I take the skull. I kiss it gently on the forehead in celebration of the new year.
Wash your mouth, please.
I want to tell you guys about an interesting thing that happened to me in our break. So, as you know, I'm something of an explorer of the psychic realm, of the psychic phenomenon. I believe in this claptrap, the extrasensory perception, etc.
I believe every third Saturday you attach electrodes to your nuts and enter a sensory deprivation tube.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with psychic exploration. That's more of the body.
Yeah. That's the only way that I can finish these days.
Every third Saturday.
Yep. Every third Saturday. blast out the old pipes. And let me tell you something.
You got to preserve that orgone energy.
Yeah, there's a couple of crocodiles blasting out of the water that day.
This is why our show has to have explicit on it. It's not the cursing.
It's Jordan's tale about coming crocodile monsters. But I was so remember when I did that segment about how to astrally project, and we kind of came to there was that one suggestion of using the rope method, where you imagine there's a rope hanging over your body and you use it to sort of climb out of your body. I was laying there one morning rather, and most of the time when I'm able to have these kind of when I'm able to, I feel, get close to astrally projecting, it's usually when I'm in kind of a non-sleep sort of in between sleep kind of stage, usually right before I go to sleep, or when I'm waking up is usually when the sleep paralysis happens. Anyway, one morning I was laying there in bed just before Christmas, and I was having a hard time waking up. It was one of those things where you wake up and you're like, going right back to sleep, and then I started having dreams where I got up and started my day. And then I was like, oh no, you're still sleeping in bed. And I just became very aware of kind of the border between sleeping and waking up. And I was like, this would be a really good time to try that rope method. And so I did, and I imagined the rope above my body as I was kind of slipping back into sleep, and I started climbing it, and I felt it working. It felt like I had moved. I don't know. It's hard to describe. It felt like I was moving to the periphery of what I understand to be my body.
Interesting.
And I got to the edge, and I started feeling it was like my body was shaking. It was like I'd been holding onto a pull-up for too long, and I couldn't hold on anymore, where your muscles start to shake. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, try to relax, try to just, go get through that. And I couldn't do it for some reason. And I was trying to be chill. I was trying to be cool. It was a very peaceful environment. I wasn't scared or anything. And then I heard a gasp off to my right. And that freaked me out. And the next thing I knew, I kind of fell back into my body and I woke up. And I got up and I was like, oh, wow, that was crazy. I got really close to astrally projecting there. And I kind of did some research, and everything lined up. There's a thing that they call the vibration stage, where you get to the edge of your consciousness, basically, and there can be a vibration resistance. It's either coming from you being afraid to actually do it, or it's your body, is not used to it.
To let you go.
And a lot of people have described in kind of an astrally projected state hearing sounds, and some people will mention growling that scares them. And another guy in this forum was like, the growling is actually you snoring. What you're hearing is yourself breathing. And I was like, oh, I wonder if I was the gasping that I heard. And I was just enough outside of my periphery that it sounded like it was coming from off to my right. But what it actually
gasper of Jordan
was
County.
Me fighting with this vibrational stage and forgetting to breathe, and then taking a breath, and fucking I don't know. It's hard to it's actually not hard to describe. I did a pretty good job there.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. Me and Nate are all aboard.
I wish I could do it again. I guess what I'm trying to say is it'd be hard to recreate, because I was very much in this like this kind of liminal stage of like between sleeping and waking, and it was the conditions were just perfect.
Well, Jordan, guess what? I filled the groaning skull that we use as the talking skull with Twilight powder, and all you need to do is hit the purple button on its forehead. And we'll send you right there.
I'll save that for when I need my tonsils out. Anyway, I wanted to tell you guys about that because it was a pretty interesting experience that I had.
Yeah, thank you.
That is not my segment, however. I also want to tell you guys about something called the Phantom of Route 40. We may have also talked about this before. I'm going to send you guys a link because I need you to see the first picture in it. It's kind of a wood etching of a skeleton riding a Model A car and driving people off of the road. It's fucking sweet. Where is the dang old thing? Come on.
You have to go to your keyboard.
I got it. But yeah, this actually came about because me and my girlfriend were riding cross country recently, about halfway across the country. It was pretty wild. Wait, there it is. Beep, beep,
motherfucker. It's got a driving cap and cape on.
Absolutely.
This bicyclist is just all like, oh, what did I just? I didn't see nothing. Okay. And these people are now dead.
Yeah, no, it definitely has like Victorian Ed Roth vibes.
Google the following phrase: phantoms and ghosts of the Ohio Turnpike. And she did. And when you Google that, this is the first thing that comes up. This is from hauntedohio.com.
You froze a little bit, and I'm not sure if it captured it, but apparently you Googled phantoms of the Ohio highway or turnpike.
Yeah. Phantoms and ghosts.
Oh, it did it again. Unless it's not on your end, Nate, but... you Googled phantoms and ghouls of the Ohio highway or turnpike.
Are we back? We're back.
We're back now. Yeah, we're caught up.
There's a wire that when I touch it, everything freezes. I need to stop touching that wire.
Yeah, but she identified it.
Yeah. We Googled phantoms and ghosts of the Ohio Turnpike, and this is the first thing that came up. The Phantom of Route 40. This is from hauntedohio.com. The news that a joker in Kentucky has rigged his Jeep to look like a skeleton is driving it called to mind the early 1950s Ohio road panic of the Phantom of Route 40. Now,
the Ohio road panic.
we reported on the guy who we podcasted about the guy who had rigged his Jeep to have like a skeleton driving it. It was kind of all over Reddit and stuff. It sort of ruled. Good job. But this is a much older story. This is from December of 1951. Skeletal driver first seen by a trucker named Roy Fitzwater. This is Vandalia, Ohio. The Phantom of Route 40 is roaring down the national highway these nights, maybe along a stretch you've traveled on. Listen to Roy Fitzwater, 30 of Greenville, PA, trucker.
I trust a trucker. You know why? They do more meth than me.
Absolutely. They can see the spirit realm.
They can see the spirit realm, yeah.
You think in 1951, there's tons of speed going on.
There's tons of speed. We won the war, man. We had all the speed.
They just called them whites and reds back then.
Yeah. Pick me up, truck.
So, it was spitting snow and freezing rain and very dark one night 3 weeks ago. I dimmed my lights when a car approached. When the car got about 200 feet from me, its light went entirely out.
Ooh.
I thought that was going to be the start of a poetic...
I know.
It was spitting snow and pouring rain.
I thought this was a song as well. Yes.
If you're not hearing a rockabilly stand-up bass backing this entire thing, then you are listening wrong today, folks.
Also,
we're talking about a fucking hot rod skeleton.
I'm not using raining or snowing anymore. I'm using spitting rain and spitting snow.
Spitting snow and freezing ice. That time when the skeleton came at night. So a little light flicked on inside. So basically what's happening is this car's coming towards him, right? And then all of a sudden the lights go out and he's like, what the hell? And then the dome light comes on inside the car, and guess what's driving? That ain't a fella. It's the Phantom of Route 40. That's a Skella. Exactly. When the car got about 200 feet from me, the light went out entirely. Then a little light flicked on inside, and I saw this thing. It was horrible looking. It scared me. I jammed down my throttle and got out of there fast.
You put the Chevy to the levee.
Absolutely, but the levee was dry.
I like that he calls it a throttle.
Yeah, these are some old terms, man. I love the 50s. Oh, I don't love the 50s, but I'm going to use some of their lingo for sure.
50s hot rod culture, at least.
Yeah. So 5 tales of the ghostly traveler have reached the State Highway Patrol. Some truckers said the Phantom's car glows. Occasionally, the quote-unquote Phantom gets out and reveals a Halloween mask and a skeleton suit.
You done been tricked.
I love it.
A skeleton suit with bones outlined in luminous paint. 3 truckers almost... yeah, but I mean, is it? But yeah, I mean, this is the Phantom Rider of Route 40. 3 truckers almost caught the macabre motorist a week ago, but he zoomed away, scraping his car against one of the trucks. Maybe he's mentally ill, said a patrol officer, or maybe he's just got a weird sense of humor. But keep a keen eye if you're going Route 40 in the dead of night in western Ohio.
Crazy.
Road where the Phantom first appeared is a narrow 2-lane road atop an earthen dam. The road slopes away almost vertically. If a truck ever swerved through the railings as a skeletal driver played quote-unquote chicken, it would be a long way down. At one end of the dam was a roadhouse where many truckers gathered and told of their tales of the Phantom. Here's some truckers telling of their tales. Dayton, Ohio, March 7. A phantom skeleton is stalking truckers along the western Ohio stretches of U.S. Route 40. Truckers report actually seeing a masked motorist who wears a skeleton suit that glows in the dark. For some time, they have been keeping their experiences to themselves, not wanting to draw a horse laugh from police. We don't know what a horse laugh is either, so we kind of determined it was probably...
as best as our radar scientists can tell us.
Yes. But they soon found more than one driver wasn't seeing things after conversations in roadside eating spots. The Phantom, according to the stories, likes to show up on the highway on stormy nights. He has been at it since before Christmas and almost was caught once when 3 truckers closed into the route on Route 40 and span over the Stillwater River. Right, we remember that. The Phantom's favorite trick is to approach a rolling truck from the opposite direction coming towards you, dims the lights, and then puts them out completely. All the lights go out about 150 to 200 feet from the surprised truck driver when he sees a dim light come on inside the car. And guess who's in there? It's the Phantom trucker.
This is such a dangerous thing to do.
Totally. This guy is a nutcase, but he's that crazy Phantom roadster of Ohio.
He's Ohio's
crazy truckers
man.
So hard that they reel right into me.
Yeah. So this is a newspaper clipping titled "Route 40 Ghost Dares Sheriff to Catch Him."
He's Ohio's own Zodiac.
Oh, yeah. Springfield, Ohio, March 14th. The Phantom of Highway 40 took off his driving gloves today and picked up a pen. He wrote a letter to Sheriff J. Arthur Schumann of Clark County. He said he had a car that could travel 135 miles an hour. He added that this speedy machine was loaded with, quote, radar and sonar and some other equipment I don't even know the name of.
He just kept writing. It was a long sentence.
Where did you get this fucking car? The quote, phantom is not one of those old-fashioned ghosts that go around scaring people with just ordinary masks and glowing lights. Not the Phantom of Route 40. He's gone modern. He intends to have his car, quote, equipped with an automobile television screen so I can spot a patrol car 3 miles away.
But
I don't know. The quote, phantom is the character who's been scaring truck drivers at night. Truckers report seeing a phantom car that glows. Occasionally, trucks reported the skeleton character gets out and shows a mask and skeleton suit with bones outlined in luminous paint. Evidently, the quote, phantom is feeling cocky. He dared the sheriff to catch him. The sheriff today reported receiving the letter from the elusive and macabre motorist dated Springfield, Ohio, March 10. The Phantom said he was even willing to have a midnight meeting with the sheriff. But,
nice. Quote, I love the Phantom.
He's very cool. Quote, don't form a roadblock, the letter read. The game must be a chase, not a block. Said Sheriff Schumann, no comment.
You got to do it, Sheriff. I know this is in the past, but you got to do it.
Cops are super well known for doing the fun thing.
Just this once.
He could be Commissioner Gordon to the Road Phantom's Batman.
Oh, do you think that the Phantom's like a good guy?
Maybe these truckers are transporting reds and whites across the country.
I think the sheriff might be the Phantom.
Oh wow, crazy. Not satisfied with luminous paint, radar, sonar, and TV screens, the Phantom next experimented with smoke. As we all have at some point.
Fair.
Route 40 Spook puts out screen of green smoke. St. Mary's the Phantom of Route 40, a hard-driving spook who enjoys scaring truckers, popped up again today. St. Mary's, Ohio, I see. This time behind a green smoke screen. Rex and Tom Weaver, brothers of St. Mary's, said they've seen all they want to of the garishly clad ghost who appears like a will-o'-the-wisp on western Ohio roads. The Weavers reported that they were driving on Route 40 near McCartyville when a car passed, then suddenly stopped in front of them. What? We skidded to a stop and ran up to cuss out the crazy old fool who was driving the car, Rex said. When we got there, the darn thing actually began to fill up with green smoke. So the car's filling with green smoke.
Filling? What a tactic.
Yeah. He said there was a man inside the car with a wild-looking striped suit on. He began laughing like a maniac.
Like the Joker?
Yeah.
Yep.
He began laughing like a maniac, Rex added, then roared away in his car.
Do you think this was a mess up?
I think that he did this on purpose. And
so he meant to fill his car with smoke versus the outside.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Either the police were getting too close or the Phantom was bored with cruising the same old roads. This is what people did before weed, before the internet. He moved on to pastures new along the Ohio-Pennsylvania border. Next up, Ohio road spook calling his shots. Lisbon, Ohio. Apparently, the Phantom now has developed a voice and is calling his shots. Miss Nancy Neal, switchboard operator at the Columbiana County Courthouse, reported this telephone conversation today. She plugged in a line and a male voice said, "This is the Phantom. Route 7 tonight." That was all. The caller hung up. Sheriff's deputies were alerted. Yesterday, 4 motorists at nearby Wellsville saw a skeleton-like figure in an automobile. One man told highway patrolmen the Phantom appeared to be standing on the running board. So my man's on the running board outside of the car now.
He's ghost riding the whip.
Previous, the Phantom was seen in other parts of the state, scaring truckers and perplexing police. Route 7 runs along the Ohio River from here to East Liverpool and then turns into Youngstown. And then turns inland to Youngstown. Apparently nobody met him.
They didn't go to Route 7?
Apparently not. Car ghost performs on another highway, Ohio driver reports. Steubenville, Ohio. The ghostly skeleton who danced on Route 40 may have moved to Route 7. A nervous truck driver, Louis Martell of Pawtucket, Rhode Island, stopped in Yorkville, Ohio Wednesday night to tell his story to Police Chief Roger Lolini.
That's not a name.
Martell was driving north on Route 7, which follows the Ohio River. Route 7.
Okay, we're here.
Near a small airport, he saw an automobile approaching. It veered towards him, and its lights went out. Then a figure jumped from the car. Glowing in the lights of the truck was a skeleton, topped by some sort of mask in the shape of a skull and crossbones. The skeleton danced. Martell departed.
Is this art?
Yeah,
I think it's some kind of art.
I love everything about it.
I mean, whether or not he considers it art, I do.
Good Lord. This is fucking wild. Okay, we're almost done here, but this shit gets crazy. This one is titled, this is a bizarre story from Devil's Bend near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Nobody's really quite sure if this is the same guy, but I mean, you know, if it walks like a phantom coach driver and talks like a phantom coach driver. Pittsburgh, July 13th on Devil's Bend, a famous curve of a favorite automobile road. Near the city, the scene of a dozen or more fatalities, there appeared at midnight, it is said, a phantom auto with 2 animated skeletons as occupants. So now we're kind of getting into the area of like, this is a dangerous part of the road. Is this the phantom motorist, or are we seeing ghosts here?
Yes.
I like the way that we used to deal with dangerous parts of like, instead of putting up new railing or something, you know, or, you know,
making
like
this road safer, slow you down, more lights.
It's just like, well, what if we just call it Devil's Bend? People will know.
That'll keep them away.
Don't go around there so fast.
And it's always like colloquially, like this is just like Route 88, mile 52. But like, there's never been signs put up. It's just you have to eat at the diner before you go here, and then you may hear talk.
Yeah, you get the warning from the spooky truckers.
The 50s was a better time, maybe,
and much
when
worse.
you had to talk to the community to get your news.
It is said a phantom auto with 2 animated skeletons as occupants. The siren gave out piercing toots. I think they're talking about the horn. Dry bones rattled with the levers and brakes were jammed hard. The mysterious auto was seen by a party of politicians who were returning from a caucus at a nearby school. They heard the report of the car coming along at a traffic rate of speed and huddled in fear in the middle of the road for an instant. What? This person isn't as good a writer as they think they are. The chug-chug of the engine grew louder, and the headlights suddenly rounded a curve and illuminated the pathway. Under giant trees, the auto lamps made a peculiar white light. This caused the pedestrians to scatter. As they did so, all noticed that the skeleton form at the wheel released his grip for a moment, put a cigarette in his lips, and lit a
match. This skeleton's gonna get me into smoking again.
As the match was applied to the cigarette, the auto was seen to skid on the fatal curve, crash against the oak trees, which creaked and groaned. There was a flash, and all went quiet.
I love everything about that ghost story.
The party regathered and then decided to hurry to the nearest farmhouse, that of Samuel Wordle. He was quickly aroused, and he and his son Jed, also aroused, with lanterns, accompanied the men back to the scene of what was thought to be another fatal accident. Nothing was found at the scene of the smash. Still unconvinced that they had seen only a phantom auto, one of the investigators returned to the Wordle residence, where he telephoned the county morgue, but was told that no fatalities had been reported from Devil's Bend that night. There are a couple of more articles here, but largely it's just about how the Phantom it's a doctor talking about how the Phantom is mentally ill.
Your society's the one that's mentally ill, man.
Dude, it's so that. It's so like this freak on the edge of societies is laughing in the face of our morals and values. They also mention another kind of leader of the pack type figure who goes by simply the End. And they're like, the end must be stopped. But yeah, apparently there was a guy who would step out in front of trucks, and on his on the back of his jacket it said "The End," which is also fucking cool. And I tried to find some information about that guy, but I didn't find it. But there you go, fellas. That is the Phantom of Route 40, and the flap thereof. Pretty wild shit. It was a delight to hear about as we were driving along this very stretch of highway.
It's fun to think that, like, even in America, which I think is like, always modern overall, we didn't have a lot of the same thing other countries did with our highways and Ghost. And then here comes the fucking Phantom of Route 40. And he's escaping truckers trying to get him. He's taunting the cops.
I
love it.
The leader of the pack.
He was the leader of the pack. He probably wrote the song.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it is about a dead guy.
This guy's dead, Jordan. I mean, Nate.
Whoever, somebody, get me a drink.
Someone, I need some water. Okay, I'm very excited.
Pretty fucking wild. I was pretty pumped to learn about the Phantom of Route 40. But that does it for my segment, which I'm calling. Get onto that highway and rattle those bones and teeth. I don't know. I'll work on it.
We'll have something by Monday.
Yeah.
The Misfits have to have a song about this gentleman, right?
For real. He's a Misfit song fucking come to life.
I was looking for songs about the Phantom of Route 40 and I didn't find anything.
Everyone...
We got to write it.
Blew it, everyone.
Sure, somebody must have done, some weird little thing.
You blew it, everyone.
For you. It was spitting snow and freezing rain.
First lyric. You can build off of that. That can be the fucking chorus instead.
Absolutely.
Make it your hook. How come there's no Memphis rap about the trucker, the Phantom of Route 40? And then I throw down the microphone.
We're focusing on podcasts.
That's right.
When we should be focusing on our fucking bars, y'all.
On rapping.
Our raps. My raps are suffering.
All right. Well, I shall close this out and try and truncate this thing somewhat. Oh, I suppose I'll take the speaking school.
There you go.
There we go.
If you don't do it, you will be haunted.
It makes a fun ringing sound when I flick it in the head. So for all of us, it is a new year. But for many people, it is still also Christmas time.
You crazy 12 days of Christmas or Boxing Day or something?
Specifically, in the town of Grotto, Italy, this is an article, as often from me, because they always have all the information compiled very well, from Atlas Obscura. In this seaside town, the new year brings a battle with the witches of the sea.
Nice. Fuck yeah. What?
Keep it coming.
The local Epiphany celebration of Grotto, Italy is inspired by a mysterious band of 16th century pirates. Each holiday season, children around Italy eagerly await the Feast of the Epiphany, celebrated on January 6th. So for those of you that don't know, and a lot of, I think especially maybe Catholics, celebrate the Epiphany.
I don't know what that is, actually, but I know you will. So
January 6th is supposedly the date that
America could have been free.
Yes, that's right. Well, and we could draw some conclusions here if we want. That the Magi actually granted their gifts to the child Christ.
Sure.
So that has a special holiday. Let us bring him
silver and gold.
That mob almost gave their gifts to our child Christ, Donald Trump. So
just for a second, I also thought it was so funny in that song where he's like, let us bring him silver and gold. Could you imagine showing up and the guy's like, I brought gold. And you're like, I brought silver.
Well,
almost as good as gold.
One guy just brought myrrh.
Frankincense and myrrh.
Yeah.
I brought smelly stuff. What were we supposed to do again?
Oh God, it smells bad.
Well, also, like, you're bringing gold to these people, and they're like, you couldn't have gotten here a few days ago. We fucking gave birth in a barn.
A barn, dude.
Because we had no money.
Nothing.
No, they had money. I believe they came in with a good 100 or so, and there was no room at the end.
Okay, that's right.
There was no room at the end.
And Joseph, unless I'm getting the name wrong, refused to take her to the doctor. They could have went to a doctor. There was a doctor in Bethlehem, but he just kind of flicked the belly and was all like, you're not ready.
You're not ready, babe. Look, we could spend the money on the hospital, but what if I got this Technicolor Dreamcoat?
I like the idea of stepdad Joseph just like kind of blowing it.
Yeah.
But looking good.
You're fine.
It's like,
if you have the baby, I'll sell the Dreamcoat, okay?
Guess there goes my dreams. Like just under his breath, very passive aggressively.
Oh yeah, 100%. He goes on, and that's when the Befana, an old lady riding a broomstick, fills up stockings with candy for well-behaved children or charcoal for naughty ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's maybe the origins of the stocking stuff, but
maybe.
Sounds legit.
I'm not sure if that predates Santa Claus or not. Originally a religious festival marking the visit of the Magi to baby Jesus, Epiphany got mixed up with local folklore, hence the Befana. But children in the northeastern town of Grotto have their own dramatic, even frightening version to get excited about. The Varvuole, the witches that come from the sea. On January 5th, locals gather at Porto Mandracchio. Maybe. Mandracchio. The coastal town's historic harbor, and anxiously scan the horizon. It's common for dense fog banks to form over the Adriatic Sea at that time of year, adding to the atmosphere. Through loudspeakers on the marina docks, a solemn voice intones, "They are about to come." Men wearing hoods start beating drums. A few minutes later, 10 rowboats appear on the dark horizon and slowly make their way towards the shore. Stage lights illuminate their approach, revealing ghost-like creatures aboard.
Oh boy.
I would shoot them. I would bring a gun to this and I would defend myself.
You'd do shooting at them.
I would be shooting at this. This is a performance, I hope.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
Look at, but it wasn't at one point. Looking like a mix between Edward Scissorhands and a zombified French aristocrat.
Whoa.
I'm Googling that.
Fucking sweet.
The Varvuole disembark and make their way into the streets of Grotto. Wow. They scream and hiss and dance.
Whoa. Children
start running. The Varvuole are on the hunt. Then a battle commences. A group of women wearing traditional dresses, armed with garlic and wooden crosses, goes after the sea witches. They fight and dance until the Varvole are defeated.
This is crazy. I love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's fucking wild.
Each year, thousands travel to Grotto from the surrounding region of Friuli, Venezia, Giulia to witness the ancient ritual. Like many legends, the Varvole tradition has roots in both myth and reality. Celebrations centered around witch-like figures such as the Befana are found across Italy and usually arise from pre-Christian winter solstice rituals featuring pagan deities such as the ancient Roman goddess Strenua.
Sure. All your faves.
Strenua.
Oh.
In Grotto, the archetype of the winter witch is intertwined with a real historical threat. Pirate attacks by the Uskok people. A historically overlooked population, the Uskoks were displaced people from the Balkans who, for around 100 years, influenced life all around the Adriatic.
Dang.
Okay.
Here's a quote. After the 1389 Battle of Kosovo, the Ottomans effectively took over the Balkans for nearly 5 centuries, says Stefka Smitrin, who studies Balkan culture and literature at the University of Teramo and wrote one of the few academic books on the Uskok people. People of various ethnicities had to flee and move north toward the Adriatic Sea. That's when the Uskok tribe was formed. The word Uskok originally means something like jumping backward. Whoa. And was used to refer to people fleeing the Balkans to escape Ottoman rule.
Okay.
As Smitrin explains, the Uskoks were a mixed group of ethnic Serbs, Croats, and Bosnians. They spoke multiple languages, mainly Latin and Serbian. They were Catholic or Greek Orthodox. At their height, they numbered no more than a few thousand. Yet for a period of 100 years or so, the Uskoks, based mostly in parts of modern-day Croatia, such as Klis and Senj, were a key force in Adriatic politics and life. During the 15th and 16th centuries, the Adriatic Sea was dominated by 3 main powers, Smitrin says, the Republic of Venice, the Habsburgs, and the Ottomans. The Uskoks became the 4th. At first, they mostly worked as paid soldiers for the Habsburg crown, which had hired them to contain Ottoman advances. After a while, however, possibly because of delays in payment, or more probably, they turned to other sources of income, meaning banditry and piracy.
Nice.
The Uskoks raided commercial and military ships, mostly belonging to the Venetian and Ottoman fleets.
Get them.
Quote, they were famous for raiding big ships from smaller boats and for their unusual clothes. The typical Uskok outfit consisted of a long vest, usually with studs, and busbies, which are like furry military hats, which I guess are like still fashionable.
I thought it was going to be weirder than that.
With little feathers.
I honestly thought it was going to be like they were all wearing Jennifer Lopez t-shirts.
I guess it was weird enough for the time that this sort of inspired the concept of them being sea witches.
I see.
Yeah.
Look at the hat he's got on. It's a witch.
Yeah, and these like crazy button down, like long kind of tunic things. Or I guess it's not a tunic, it's a vest, because the tunic wouldn't be buttoned.
But it's long.
Which is in general very hat-based culture.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah. I think the magic probably is in the hat.
Yeah. A rabbit out of a hat.
So though they're historically overlooked, the Uskoks left a profound mark on Adriatic folklore. Smitrin found that they were the most popular subject of poems written in the Balkans during the 15th and 16th centuries.
Congratulations. Number 1.
Yeah. Quote, poets wrote about the Uskoks more than they wrote about love or death.
Wow.
While poets based in modern-day Croatia described the Uskoks as brave heroes, authors in other parts of the Adriatic saw them as dangerous and ruthless pirates. Grotto, which at the time was under the Venetian jurisdiction, would have had the latter impression. Oral histories about dangerous, unusually dressed uskoks coming from the Croatian coast were passed from one generation to the next. Quote, I think there's a real connection between the uskoks and traditions like the Varvuole.
No.
They posed a real danger for nearly a century. Today, the Varvuole celebration in Grotto reenacts some of the old fears about pirate attacks. The event is structured in 3 main parts, says Luisa Venier.
That's fucking awesome.
An elementary school teacher involved with the event organization. This I love. This is she teaches children. She's around children all day. And then she's one of the orchestrators of this thing where they scare the fuck out of these kids.
These children.
This is how you do math. This is how you do science, preposition, noun. Witches. And watch out for the sea witches. And also.
The first part, she explains, is the arrival of the witches on Botele, the typical flat-bottom rowing boats of Grotto.
Flat-bottom boats, you make the sea witches cool.
That is perhaps the most dramatic moment of the day, she says. There's a crescendo of drums that builds a lot of anticipation. A loud voice prepares the public for their arrival. I hear them coming. You'd better hide. People start to squint out to the sea. They come from the sea, the voice adds. They are fearless. Slowly but steadily, the first few boats begin to appear at the harbor entrance. Rowed by figures in dark hoods and lit only by oil lamps, they look like smaller versions of the ghost vessel Flying Dutchman. The shape of Grotto's harbor, with a long Y-shaped canal, allows for a slow, dramatic entrance. The fog, or failing that, a fog machine, adds to the ambiance. As the boats approach...
It's either going to be sea witches or docking.
As the boats approach, the voice warns children to find shelter. The Varvuole are back! The second part of the event sees the fight between the Varvuole and the local women called Populani.
Cool.
That sounds like it's the fight is called that, but it's the group of women are the Populani.
Ah, I see.
After the Varvuole disembark, they run around the streets of Grotto, making terrifying sounds and frightening poses. The Populani pursue, wielding the crosses and garlic. I guess vampire rules apply to sea witches.
Listen, when you're Italian, you use garlic for everything.
Yeah, that's true. What you got. Something's got to season these monsters.
And shout words in local dialects believed to weaken the witches. The town band accompanies with emphatic drumming. The zombie-like poses and banshee-like screams of the Varvuole are sometimes straight out of a horror movie.
Yeah.
During this part, some children get actually scared and run away, Venier says.
Fuck yeah, I would. The next day, I'd be so upset at my parents. I'd be like, why did you take me to the horror? Were you trying to get me taken away by the witch?
Indeed, she explains, taking part in this tradition can help children learn about fear.
My child must learn about fear. It's had happiness this whole time.
I am an elementary school teacher and use myths as an education tool. In this case, children learn to process their fear by seeing that danger can be managed. With a giant, crazy fight with garlic and crosses.
Fuck yeah.
The climax of the fight takes place on a stage with choreographed dancing. In recent years, we have set the stage on a dam with the sea as a backdrop, says Celine Lupieri, owner of a local dance school, Avenal,
which for machine comes back out.
Which for the past few years has arranged the choreography. It makes for a perfect setting to tell the story of sea witches. Yeah, no shit.
The sea here, it's perfect for my tale. What's your tale? Sea witches.
Sea witches. The stage is the best place to admire the Varvole costumes. Faces painted in white with dark circles around their eyes, long black dresses covered with damaged fishing nets, and, most impressively, gray and white Louis XIV style wigs.
I'm not going to lie, it's pretty hot.
The scores from composers such as Stravinsky, Mussorgsky. I don't know why I can't say his name. I can say it in my head. Ezio Basso or Jocelyn Pook. Sometimes the dance ends with a group of Varvole encircling a handful of terrified kids.
I can only hope not part of the performance. Like they circle a small group of kids in the audience.
I think, it's probably, if it happens, it happens.
The kids must learn that very important lesson.
Yeah, exactly. The witches are going to come every year. You need to be ready for this.
The third and final act of the event takes place when the Varvole finally surrender to the Popolani in the square of Piazza Baggio Marine, in front of a 16th century building called Casa della Musica. From the windows of the building, the Popolani proclaim their victory. This part is where children learn that danger can be managed, Verrier says. It's a triumph of the city against the witches. Really, it's not much more to the article. It goes on a little bit about how, the local municipal government plays a huge role in wrangling things and raising money and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that's a cool thing that happens every January 6th in Grotto, Italy.
Pretty effing cool.
Sea witches based on piracy versus local women.
Very cool.
This one elementary school teacher who needs to instill fear in children.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good January 6th celebration. Not as good as ours as Americans, but it's pretty good.
Coming up. Folks, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Werewolf Radar. Y'all are the best. Thank you for your continued support of all the crazy shit we do. Thank you to Cheesebot of Doom for kicking it in the Zoom room. The rest of you, if you are a Dark Council member, you can come and kick it in the Zoom room too. See how the sausage is made. We're covered in sausage. Can you believe it? If you're not a Dark Council member, you can go to patreon.com/werewolf radar. You can see the new mugs that are coming out, the new art. You can sign up for a small financial donation monthly, and you can help us out to keep the podcast rolling, and you get all kinds of perks. If you aren't able to help us out that way, you can help us out simply by giving us 5 stars wherever podcasts are sold. You can tell your friends about the podcast. You can post about it. You can follow us on X. You can follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on Threads. You can follow us fucking anywhere that the social media diaspora has taken you. We are also there.
We got a YouTube, subscribe, like the videos, have fun there.
werewolfradar.com, all of that shit.
Merch store. Go out there.
We hope you have a happy new year. We hope you completed the year walk and saw the terrifying or delightful things that the year has in store for you. We didn't talk about the year walk this year, but we've talked about it before. Check out past episodes to find out what the hell I'm talking about.
Werewolfradar.com.
We will see you or hear you next week. That's right. We can hear you too.
We know what you're saying when the radio's off.
We'll be back.
Mommy, can you hear me?
Thank you once again for listening. Go 2024. Until next time, as always, our sign-off line on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Punch
the sky, Spaceman
Joe.